Hello and welcome to Full Tech Ahead. I'm Amanda Razani and I'm excited to be here today with Andrei Danescu. He is the CEO of Dexory. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. Very exciting period for us. A lot of growth, a lot of expansion, a lot of exciting problems to solve. So very happy to
Wonderful.
share more with you.
Well, can you share a little bit about your background and a little bit about Dexory? What services does Dexory provide?
So I'll start with my background. My background is technical. I've got some studies in electronics, robotics. I spent some time working in motorsport. High performance engineering has always been my passion, pretty much my entire life. And this was what kind of lured me to starting a company in this space. Always love to build something that is full stack. So Dexory is a company that designs, engineers, manufactures, and works directly with customers for the end-to-end product suite that we have. And what we provide is data intelligence, a data intelligence platform for logistics. And what's really unique about it is that we use the world's tallest autonomous robots to collect all this data. So we have this amazing robots that go around warehouses. It's for logistics. So they go around warehouses, they create digital twins. They can extract all the information from the environment in order to eliminate operational errors and in order to drive that execution operational efficiency to 100%.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's talk about that robotics in warehousing. What are some of the biggest changes you've noticed with AI coming into play?
There's definitely a lot of change, and I'm sure that you or we all hear about this pretty much on a daily basis. But I think the big thing for the industry, so there's probably two sides of this, right? For the consumers, there's different ways of bringing value because there's a lot of information on the web. There's a lot of data publicly that you can train the AIs and AI technology on. For the industry, it's actually quite different because a lot of the information that you need in order to create powerful AI applications and in order to train these models and systems is actually behind closed doors, is sitting behind walls, so it's not freely accessible, which makes it actually quite difficult to bring to market and to create very powerful and most importantly, very impactful AI technology and AI applications. But to go back to answering the question, I think some of the interesting and different and new things that we've seen is it is this incredible ability to transform a lot of data into very, very deep insights. So you can actually dive very deeply into extracting the value, into creating value by extracting this information from data.
Awesome. Well, can you share any real world use cases of how your robotics is impacting the industry?
Absolutely. So if you look at if you look at operational efficiency for a warehouse, and it's not so much about the robotic side of our product or the AI side of our product or the digital twin, is the combination. So I would say holistically, the product consists of these elements, but the way we bring them together is really how we bring value to our customers. So we have these autonomous robots going around the warehouses. They collect a lot of information, images, 3D cloud point data, and so on. The the fact that you can digitize a million square feet in less than a day is something completely unheard of in the industry. And the impact that has is that you can transition the operation from very, very sparse data and a lot of assumptions and a lot of historical knowledge, which works in some cases, but doesn't tend to work very well when you have so much change that's happening in the world right now. You can transition that to a data-driven operation, to an operation where you can see pretty much at least once a day or multiple times a day, every single movement, every single pallet location, every single area of that warehouse, of that environment, and you can drive optimization. So you can make sure you have the perfect utilization of racks. You can make sure that your block stack is perfectly laid out for the most efficient picking. So there's a lot of elements where you can drive the ROI, we can drive the benefits. But I would say the biggest impact is transitioning the operation from very sparse data to a continuous flow, continuous access to every single, like I said, every single pallet location, pretty much on a daily basis, or even more often than that.
So essentially, it's allowing companies to have a real-time window and change their processes to be more efficient.
It's definitely allowing them to have that real-time view, real-time window into the operation, and it's enabling a lot better data-driven decisions. And what we're working on is suggesting and helping companies optimize without having to analyze the data themselves. This is where AI becomes really powerful, because once you have so much data and so much information, you can bring the user input and steer the optimization, steer the AI models and the technology into driving the best impact and the best value for the business.
And can you share what some of the return on investment has been? What has been that impact?
So there's quite a comprehensive study we've done with the guys, the team from Forrester, and I think there's a lot more details in there. But what I can talk about is some of the customers. So the value is different based on the type of operation that people run, because it's easy to think of warehouses and say, oh, they're just warehouses, but actually they're very, very different from one to another. And the way we look at this is by leveraging whether or not the value, the velocity, or the volume of goods are the prevalent element of the equation. So if you have an operation that is incredibly high volume, then you want to make sure that you can maximize utilization. You want to make sure that you can maximize the efficiency in which you're using your warehouse, in which you're using your facility. But also, if you have an operation that has very high velocity, you want to make sure you can eliminate any errors in terms of pulling the wrong products from the wrong locations or storing things inappropriately, because the speed at which you need to react means that any errors then have a massive long tail in propagation. So we've had customers that, for example, were having to do a lot of additional effort in terms of moving goods from one warehouse to another, or one production facility to another, because they didn't have, or they couldn't have, that real-time visibility as to how much is at any point in time, or how much volume is at any point in time available. And when you run production facilities, it becomes very, very costly not to have the material, because you pretty much need to pause or shut down the production line. So the impact there was huge in terms of, once they deployed the Dexory technology, they could eliminate the need for any of this additional operations they could do. And the same for customers, for example, in running production facilities for furniture, and again, so like manufacturing lines for that, we saved in the first 4 weeks of deployment, we saved over 200,000 pounds in terms of the impact the technology had on the customer's operation. So again, so like very, very fast ROI and very short time to value.
Wow, that's impressive. So this essential trifecta between AI, data, and robotics, we know technology is moving quite rapidly. So what do you envision for the future of this industry in, say, a year from now?
I think the speed will increase. I think everything is accelerating, and looking at the maturity that we're starting to see in terms of customer adoption, it's looking very promising, because you can have the best technology in the world. If no one uses it, or if your product doesn't really answer a user need, it's just not going to get much traction and much coverage. But what we're seeing is, in the last years, the industry has morphed and transformed a lot, because there are not very many other options. So you have to look at not just automation, you have to look at this intelligent and autonomous way of automating processes and enhancing the existing workforce. I think that's one of the big things, and that's really the name of the game, is like, how can you bring technology into the market that enables you to do a lot more? So I think that there's a very interesting parallel to be made here. If you're a software developer and you can leverage the latest AI tools, you can massively increase your output and your throughput, and you can work on so many more things in parallel. But you obviously need to know how to use the tools very well. It's the same thing for the vision that we have in bringing Dexory View to a warehouse operating system, into creating this autonomous warehouse, is you can enable people to avoid being frustrated, spending hours looking for lost pallets or lost products in the warehouse, or not knowing exactly where to best locate or best position different goods. You can enable them to be a lot more efficient and a lot faster at their the core of their job and the things they're really good at, and then obviously give them that time back to be able to expand their skill set. So I think the adoption and what the future is looking like is really the symbiotic collaboration, where you can really do a lot more, a lot faster with within the time you have available, by leveraging this I would call them state of the art, sort of like very, very modern resources and very modern technologies.
Awesome. Well, if there was one key takeaway you could leave our audience with today, what would that be?
It is an incredibly exciting period to be alive. I think um, not just for business, but also the way the world is changing around us and the speed at which technology is evolving with it's incredible. And it's really, I really feel we're on the verge of some major breakthroughs. And I don't think we've, in maybe in the last 20, 30 years, we were never at this pace of progress. And to feel that, really see that accelerating, I think this is definitely a very exciting period. And it is a lot of change, but it's definitely very exciting change that we're going through.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your insights with us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you to our audience. Stay tuned. There's more.